Wrath of Man is written and directed by Guy Ritchie and stars Jason Statham, Josh Hartnett, Holt McCallany, if I'm pronouncing that right, sorry, Jeffrey Donovan, and among others. And this is actually based on a 2004 French film called Cash Truck by Nicolas Boucgriff. I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing that name. And in this story, it deals with Jason Statham's character, who is working for this armored truck business depot. And not going to go into spoilers or anything like that, but if you've seen from the trailers, it pretty much becomes a revenge film that also switches genres and becomes part of a heist movie. And I'll leave it there because that's pretty much the main plot of it, dealing with revenge, and on top of that, dealing with a heist that goes down with this armored truck company. And basically throughout the film, you start to understand like more about Jason Statham's character, of where he's going through and what he's actually setting up with everything, and in his basically his whole purpose of how he gets into this armored truck business. Now here's some backstory. Now this is actually a film that I actually was very interested in, especially since seeing Jason Statham in a big action movie like this again, since I've always been a big fan of Jason Statham in the action movies, and I have seen him in other films that he did with Guy Ritchie, parts of, like the one that comes to mind is Snatch, that I finally watched it entirely the other night, and I still need to check out some of his earlier stuff that he did with Guy Ritchie, with Lock, Stock, and Double Barrels, or I think that's what it's called, and Revolver. But this is basically the reunion that he did with Guy Ritchie after a long hiatus. And I haven't really like paid much attention with Guy Ritchie films. There's, other than Snatch and Aladdin and The Gentleman, which last year that I really enjoyed. I need to check out more of his stuff because I hear he's really great with. And there's some that I haven't really, like, I've heard aren't too great. Like I didn't care for King Arthur, and I also watched bits of Swift Away, and I wasn't a fan of that one. But I'm anxious to check out more of his stuff that he's known for, especially his earlier stuff with Statham in that Lock, Stock movie, and then you had Revolver, which I haven't heard much about, but I'll check that one out eventually. But it got me into this because I love these type of heist movies that we get every now and then, and the trailers kind of made it seem like if you took Jason Statham's character in, like, say, Safe, or any of his other usual action movies, and try to blend it with something like Heat, or in this instance, like a live action Grand Theft Auto movie. It's like a live action Grand Theft Auto 5, and it really got me interested in seeing. It's good to see these type of gritty action thriller type movies coming in theaters again, because it's whenever they do these type of movies, it gets me interested on how they played out with the intensity, the way the characters play out, and things like that. And while the movie is it's not 100% great, I will say this was pretty good, and I really had a great time with it. And it definitely is basically a resurgence that we're pretty much seeing with Guy Ritchie ever since he did The Gentleman last year. And I gotta say, like, to get my pros out of the way, Jason Statham, as usual, he always is phenomenal in his roles, especially in this one where he has that very stoic presence that you expect out of him, and he's always heavy-handed on the action scenes, which are really good. And just his very calm, well, not calm, but his very like stoic and very demeanor just puts him in that very intense like type of performance that you see him play out, and it really works to a degree, because as the film unfolds, you start to get more about his character. This is probably like the most like darkest that I've seen with him play. Like probably more so since The Mechanic. Like this is like a better version of seeing like how he played out from The Mechanic in that darker level, so to speak. And I thought it really worked well, and I thought the rest of the cast were really great too, especially seeing Josh Hartnett again after a while. And he actually had some really funny lines that were very Guy Ritchie quippy, as it's said, but the movie plays it out very very serious more in this one. But you do, like in the beginning, you do get some like dialogue and quips that are known what Guy Ritchie is best for, and I thought it did make me laugh, and I was having a good time as it played out with it. And the rest of the cast I thought were pretty good in this, and they really hold their ground. Especially Holt McCallany, who I've actually been an avid fan and seen him in like different movies, like Fight Club, and different roles that he's appeared as a character actor in and supporting roles. And I thought he really hold his ground and being like a good supporting role with Statham. And there was also surprisingly there were other like kind of like big names in this. Well, a couple big names that I didn't expect that was in this film that came out of nowhere. But I won't spoil who they are. But one of the other ones that stand out for me the best was Scott Eastwood. And I'm not going to spoil much of what his character is, but let's just say that this is definitely a performance of his that I think is probably his best that he's done so far, as it's very much like different than what he's usually known for. That I really got a kick out of. But one of the other biggest things I really enjoy with the movie is the way it plays out with the story, because the structure of how it all plays out, it is very akin similar to movies that use a non-linear format, and it also kind of plays out similar to what Ritchie kind of did with The Gentleman last year, where it starts out like the beginning of where let's say, not going to go into too much detail, but there's a heist that starts at the beginning of the movie, and then as the movie progresses, we get divided up into different chapters and everything, and you get to see different like interactions that take place that lead up to the events of the beginning. So I thought, in a great way, the way it was edited and the structure of it really played out really well. The way they introduced all the characters and like the different motivations and personalities that we get introduced to, that I thought really tied in very nicely with the film, and it really had the edge of my seat, especially in the last act when we get to the film. I thought really paid off, and it had a great impact, and it actually had some vulnerability to a degree that I thought really worked for a lot of like the major players, and to an extent with Statham too. Now there's some things that they could have like really, maybe they could have like filled in here and there with as far as that to a degree, but when they go for it, they actually really stand a chance with showing that at the beginning Statham is pretty much like if you see from the trailers, he's doing his typical badassery stuff. But there's layers to him that I think they really work to his advantage, that really push the stakes more in this, that I thought really held its ground, and I really appreciated that about this a lot. And one of the things I really got to appreciate too is the way that the movie is able to blend in with other stuff that you're seeing in flashbacks, and then tie it back later with the rest of the film. And then as you start to see the movie progress, it starts to get into a lot of brutal shit that probably, I saw The Gentleman last year and it had some brutal stuff, but this is probably the most brutal stuff that I've seen Guy Ritchie do, like, ever. Like, it's to an extent, like, you're seeing when the shootouts and everything happen, it is really fucking intense in the way it goes down. And I thought it really worked to its advantage with it. And I also got to really appreciate the musical score too, the way it plays out with its, very intense themes of intense moments with the characters and a lot of the shootouts that take place. And the build-up, I thought, really played out very well with the way the heist goes down. And now, if I had to get into some of my any cons, I will say that while the characters are still fun to watch, and I love the performances of the actors, there are some characters that I feel like they could have really addressed more often and maybe developed more to really give us an impact. Like one of them being, I forgot the actress's name, but one of the armored truck officers or security officers that works with Statham. I thought they could have really developed more with her, along with some other ones, to really enhance more, because the script really had like thinly layered when it came to like actual character backgrounds and things like that. So that was kind of lacking in some regards to some of the characters, especially some of the other main players of the film that go down with the heist itself, like some of the people behind the heist. But for the most part, you still get the basics of where everyone's coming, where the movie is going for, and character motivations and things like that. But it could have touched a lot better as far as writing. So that is one of my little major issues I have with the film. And there's certain things that they could have really maybe pushed more of the stakes high with toward the end, that I think if you had just kind of filled in a little bit more gaps to kind of to really like explain certain things, it probably would have helped it more to really get the impact. But for what they used, I still appreciated how it really played out toward the end with its climax. But those are just some major cons that I think really kind of held the film back just a little bit as far as the writing. But the way it plays it out, I thought it was very excellent directed, and it is definitely entertaining as well. And with that being said, I'm going to give the film a high compelling grade on the Film Freaks meter. Now, for those of you who have also seen Wrath of Man, and also Guy Ritchie's other films, let me know in the comments below what you thought about it. And thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, and I'll see you in my next review. I'll see you later.